old. Until a month ago, I was just an ordinary guy. I lived in the city, worked remotely as a graphic designer, and barely kept in touch with my family. But everything changed the day I received the call informing me that my grandfather had passed away and that he had left me his house. I hadn't seen him in years. We were never close. I only remember him as a silent, stern, old man who lived alone in a house far from the village. But I had no reason to refuse the inheritance. A free house in this economy? I'd be crazy to say no. So I took some time off work and headed out to the village. The road to the house was narrow and overgrown, as if nature itself had tried to erase its path. When I arrived, the sun was setting behind the trees, casting long shadows over the facade. The house looked tired. The paint was peeling, windows dusty, and the wood creaked as I stepped inside. But there was something else. From the very first step, I felt like I wasn't alone. I told myself it was just the mood. Old houses always have a heavy atmosphere, right? Creaky floors, strange smells, cold air. I began unpacking, choosing one of the cleaner rooms to sleep in. I wasn't planning to stay long. Just clean the place up, see what it was worth, maybe sell it. But the first night, something strange happened. I woke up around 3:17 a.m. I remember the exact time. I heard a sound, a light tapping, like someone knocking softly on wood. I thought it was from outside, maybe a tree branch against the window. But then I realized the sound was coming from inside the house, from upstairs. I stood there, frozen, listening. Knock, knock, knock. Then, silence. I waited, holding my breath. When nothing else happened, I forced myself back to bed, convincing myself it was just the house settling. But when I woke up the next morning, something had changed. A small doll was sitting on the hallway floor, right outside my bedroom. It wasn't there yesterday. It was made of cloth, old and dirty, with button eyes and red yarn hair. I stared at it, confused. Did I step on it while walking around? I picked it up and tossed it in a box of junk near the kitchen. Later that night, I tried not to think about it. But again, I woke up at 3:17 a.m. and again, I heard the tapping. Oh, the natural mock. That was a saw-long. This time it was faster, almost impatient. And when I opened the bedroom door, the hallway was empty, except for the doll, back in front of my room. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. By the third night, I was sure someone was messing with me. I searched the house from top to bottom. Nothing. Every door was locked, windows sealed. But the doll kept appearing in different places. On the staircase, in the bathroom sink, on the dining table, always looking straight at me. At one point, I even threw it outside. But then, slow, familiar. And then, the dreams started. Dreams of a woman crying in the attic, of someone standing in the corner, face hidden, holding a doll. I started locking my bedroom at night, but even then, I'd wake up and find the door open. The final straw came on the fifth night. I woke up, again, at 3:17. The doll was sitting at the foot of my bed, but this time, it was smiling. I swear to you, its stitched mouth was different. It wasn't just sitting, it was looking up at me. I screamed, grabbed it, ran to the fireplace and tossed it into the flames. I watched it burn. The smell was awful, like burnt hair and rot, but I felt relief. Finally, it was over, or so I thought. That night, I actually slept. For the first time in days, I dreamed of nothing. But when I woke up the next morning, the doll was on the kitchen table, charred. One button eye missing, but whole. And in front of it was a small leather notebook. My grandfather's handwriting on the cover. The truth, in case I never told you. The notebook was small, its pages fragile, almost crumbling between my fingers. On the very first page, written in a slanted, deliberate hand, my grandfather had written, "Here is the truth, the one I never dared speak while I was alive." My stomach turned, but I kept reading. Years ago, after my wife died, I decided to rent out one of the rooms in the house. A woman came to me. Her name was Mary. She was strained, cold-faced, always speaking in whispers, and she carried a rag doll she never let go of. At night, we'd hear her talking to the doll. Not just talking, begging. She would whisper things like, "You promised me. You said he would be okay." One night, we heard her screaming from her room. I ran to her door, broke it down, but the room was empty. No sign of her, no clothes, no papers, nothing but the doll, sitting in the middle of the room, staring at me with its black button eyes. We searched the entire village, but Mary had vanished completely. No one remembered when she came or how. It was like she never existed. I tried to forget. I buried the doll in the attic, locked it in a box, and swore never to open it again. But it didn't end. I started seeing shadows moving in the halls. I began to hear the laughter of children who weren't there. And one night, I saw Mary, and my hand trembled as I turned the page. She stood at the foot of the stairs, her hair wild, her eyes hollow, holding the doll in her arms. She looked at me and smiled. Then she whispered one word: "The debt is unpaid." I tried to run from her, but every night she came back. She simulated toward strategy and chef that's approach that we tried to doll. She stood in the anything that worked. My grandfather had door the area never sign time was out there to scrung up. My grandson Adam, came his right light, and I knew one day he would go up there, my son. If there was only the one I had already opened. But then, in the far corner, I noticed something. A peak of old cloth draped over a shape. I approached, slowly pulled the cloth away. There was another box, larger, heavier, covered in strange carvings etched deep into the wood. It had a rusted iron lock. At that moment, I wasn't fully aware of what I was doing. It felt like something, or someone, was guiding my hands. I went back to my grandfather's room and rummaged through his drawers. In a small wooden box, I found a chain of old keys. One of them had the same markings as a lock on the second box. I returned to the attic, heart pounding. I inserted the key into the lock. It clicked. The box opened. Inside, there wasn't a doll. There were small human bones, wrapped in a piece of the same cloth the doll had been made from. And on top, another note. This one wasn't from my grandfather. It was from Mary. I only wanted my son back, she promised me. She said he could return, that I could see him again, hear him laugh. Call me Mom once more. The doll said it could be done. I believed her. I buried his body inside her and gave her my soul. Now, we are one. And now, we do not sleep. I felt something move behind me. I turned instantly. The doll was sitting at the top of the stairs, leading to the attic, her smile wider than ever. Her head tilted, and in her eyes was my reflection. But not as I was, no, as if I were already dead. Closes the door. I don't remember how I came down from the attic. All I recall is that I was running. No, escaping. My heart was pounding, the air heavy, and the silence? It was no longer silence, but more like the echo of a breath belonging to something waiting in the shadows. I slammed the attic door shut, then shoved a cabinet in front of it. I sat on the floor, staring at the wall across from me. But my eyes were focused elsewhere. The doll, it was in the corner, still just as I had left it. But I knew it moved. It wasn't just a doll. I pulled out my phone. I wanted to call someone, anyone, but there was no signal, no network. As I stared at the screen, a strange notification popped up. Face detected. My face? No, I wasn't even facing the camera. I lifted the phone, turned it on. The front camera was active, but the face it had detected wasn't mine. It was behind me. I spun around instantly. No one. But on the wall, a phrase appeared, written in red as if poured in blood. "You're too late." I screamed, yes, like a child. I ran to the front door, but it wouldn't open. I pulled it, pushed it, slammed it, nothing. The windows were sealed shut, the nails rusted, the glass unbreakable. It was as if the house had closed itself, as if it was keeping me in. And inside, everything changed. The lights shut off on their own. The grandfather clock in the hallway, which had been broken for years, started ticking again. Once, twice, 3 times, then stopped at 3:17 a.m. The same number, the same moment. Then I heard footsteps upstairs. Not childlike steps, heavy, slow, as if something was being dragged behind them. I was shaking. I no longer had the courage to go up, but I knew the end was up there. The doll was still in the corner watching me, but now it was smiling. Yes, a real smile, slowly forming. I grabbed a flashlight and climbed the stairs. With each step, the breathing around me intensified, as if dozens of people were whispering my name. Adam, Adam, why did you come back? I reached my grandfather's room. The door was open. Inside, complete darkness. But I stepped in. The room was unnaturally cold, and on the bed there was something covered in an old blanket. I approached, slowly pulled it away, and there it was. Not a doll, but the corpse of a small child, preserved, dried, as if it had never decomposed, and its face looked like mine. I took a step back and bumped into something. I turned around. It was Mary. Her Her skin pale, her hair soaked as if she just crawled from a grave. In her hands, the doll. She held it out to me and whispered, "The curse doesn't end. It only passes on." Then she opened her mouth and screamed. Not a human scream, but a sound, like dozens of souls shrieking at once. I shut my eyes and screamed too. When I opened them again, I was alone. The room was empty. The child, gone. Mary, gone. But the doll was in front of me staring, and I was no longer myself. Since that day, I haven't been able to leave the house. Its walls won't let me go. Every day I wake up and find the doll in a different room. I hear my grandfather calling me. I hear them. You, the one who inherited this house after me. Please, don't open the attic. Don't look into her eyes. Don't try to understand. Because once you understand, you become part of it. The curse doesn't end. It passes on.